criminal justice, healing, education. Time to awaken the community. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are currently watching. If you guys don't know my name by now, just go ahead and say it again. My name is Holly Cisa, and I am the founder slash host of this lovely program, Morning Mimosas. And as you guys know, we value humanity above all things, justice, healing, and education for the Black and minority communities. Guys, I am super duper excited to have this guest on our show today to teach us about the history of the NAACP. Because the anniversary just passed of the NAACP, and we're going to talk a little bit about that during the course of this episode. But before we do that, let's give Miss Prescott and the NAACP a proper morning mimosas welcome. Welcome, 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 Ms. Prescott, to the show.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you so much for that welcome.
I appreciate you so much for being on Morning Mimosas today. So as you guys know, she is the president of the Rocky Mountain chapter of the NAACP. And I was also nominated by them 2 years ago, which I like to brag about a little bit. So I'm just grateful to have the president on my show today. But Ms. Prescott, please, before we talk about the NAACP, we care about the person that's talking first. So let's talk about you first and what you do, and then we'll get into the NAACP and its history.
Yes. Okay. So thank you. So, well, first off, I'm Portia Prescott, and I'm the current regional president, which means when you talk about NAACP, they have state conferences. So I'm the current president for Colorado, Montana, and Wyoming. So we're part of Region 4, the Rocky Mountain. So we're Rocky Mountain NAACP. I'm a Denver, Colorado native, and my father, I think when I think about civil rights and my level of activism and where a lot of it started, it obviously started with my father, who was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. And his mother, my grandmother, was born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama. So, and she was one of 12. So the core of my father's childhood was basically spent in Birmingham attending segregated schools until he essentially matriculated by way of DC to Denver, where several of my grandmother's older sister, because she was one of the babies. So you think of the stair stepping of 1 through 12. And it was my dad, his father served in the Navy, but he passed away. So there was big sisters with homes in Colorado. So they came to Colorado. Fast forward to me now, on the other side, my mother's father, who was originally from Missouri, Kansas, had both of my grandfathers, or my great grandparents, if you think of, had to escape some sort of segregation south and matriculate to Colorado. And with that came all of the history of, you think of like this, the boycotts, the Selma boycotts, all of that was kind of instituted in me since childhood. And so thus we fast forward to NAACP, and a position that my grandfather on my mother's side held for a decade in the 50s and 60s. So NAACP, I don't think I've been a member of NAACP since I can probably spell, because my family, I don't know, back in the day, they made sure we were a part of NAACP. They made sure we understood how important civil rights are. And as a mom, I'm a mother, small business owner, and I've worked as an actress as well. So I love the arts. I love small business, and believe it or not, it's not an art. I fell into staffing. So my company is, even though it's a tech company, we specialize in IT tech, AI, all of those high level type of positions, which allows me to be able to be an NAACP president and to sort of be off the grid a little bit as far as answering to a corporate position. And if we look at the current situation with our president, luckily I don't have a federal job because I would be fired there too, it looks like. So we'll see how this all goes, especially being a small business owner. But yeah, we're in interesting times.
Very much so. But thank you, Ms. Prescott, for that wonderful introduction. Now to get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, which is the history of the NAACP. And now I will present a picture of the founders of the NAACP. And I'm hoping everyone that is currently watching can read those names. I apologize. Google didn't have a better, clearer picture. But these are the founding fathers and mothers of the NAACP. And I'm going to let Ms. Prescott tell a little bit about the founding date. I think it was February 12th, 1909. If I'm correct.
Yeah. I think we're saying we're coming off of NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. A lot of people don't know what that acronym stands for. And we think of it being a very strong advocate for civil rights, but it was formed with our founders. As you can see, they were all very different. It wasn't just an all Black formation. We look at W.E. Du Bois, we look at Ida B. Wells, we look at Mary White Ovington, Mary Church Terrell, Moorfield, a lot of these different founders. And I think of what some of the thing that I really love talking about is Ida B. Wells, who was also, an entrepreneur and among other different positions that she held. It was important to understand how important civil rights. A lot of the things that we look at right now, as far as you think of Rosa Parks, a lot of people forget when we talk about the boycott, the bus boycott. She was the state conference president of Alabama as NAACP member. Secretary of the president. She was a secretary for the state conference of Alabama. She was secretary for the Montgomery branch of NAACP. So there was a huge historic connection to the boycotts and NAACP. In one of Martin Luther King's speeches in 1957, he talked about the important work of NAACP and how crucial they were to the civil rights movement. All of the things that we enjoyed, from our voting rights in 1965 voting rights to the Fair Housing Act. I don't know if I'm getting my dates, because there was the Fair Housing Act, the Voting Rights Protection Act, and we're still fighting forward with that now in 2025. But when we're talking about all of the major federal acts that were established to establish our rights, it was NAACP was a huge part of that. So there's been many other organizations that have formed from that, but it's the oldest Black organization that's still around, that's still fighting more so than ever for our civil rights and protecting us from a lot of the federal issues that we're going to experience, or that we're currently experiencing with the current administration. Hope I didn't say all of that.
Yeah.
To like
No,
it
no,
sounds
it was absolutely no.
but yeah. But I
No, it was that. No,
they
people
talk
needed to
about,
hear that for sure.
well, yeah, because when we think about all the things that you learn in school, maybe in 3rd or 4th grade, or the March on Washington, NAACP was behind a big portion of that movement. And even some of our leaders who were side by side with Martin Luther King, who didn't get murdered, 20, 30 years later, they were still influential leaders in the organization, carrying the torch forward. So they don't teach NAACP history in a lot of our history books, but it's such an integral part of our existence as an African American in America.
Had to give you the poetic snaps for that. Like, you are absolutely on point with that. But that's going to continue with how things are going. So that's the part that's just really sad. But I want to take the time to present something real quick. I know Ms. Prescott has already given us so much information already, and I love it. But I want to present this picture here from 1947, and I hope you guys are able to see it. Um, it is a picture of President Harry Truman, and there it finally came up. It is a picture of President Harry Truman talking to the NAACP. This was June 26, 1947. And he was just talking about how everything just needed to be equal. So you guys just see this powerful picture and how even after all these years, 1947 was what, 80, no, 70 something years ago, and we're
Yeah.
still fighting for this. So I just
I
wanted
mean,
to
think of it. He
go
was
ahead
the
and
first
present this
president.
picture. This picture.
He not only spoke to the NAACP, but he was one of the first president at that moment to understand that civil rights was a moral priority. It wasn't a hashtag as we know things now, that it was a moral
Yeah,
priority to the fabric of what makes America America.
yeah,
And then we have to
absolutely.
think about
And it's really
the
sad.
next year later, and what after addressing NAACP, when you go to 1948, that's when he signs the desegregation executive order to desegregate America. And that was thinking of the Fair Employment Act. And when we think of, like, we're supposed to have the Fair Employment Act, those are some of the things that addressing NAACP had an influence on the president to sign the executive order to end, desegregation. I mean, to not end desegregation, end segregation.
Um, yeah, I, and I just don't want all that. I don't want all that history to just be wiped away.
And you know what? And
It's
we're not going to let
it's
it.
just
I
it's
mean, I think, yeah, we're not going to let that history evaporate. You have a show and you're young and you haven't, me on today. I mean, this is what it's about. We have worked very hard with our region, Rocky Mountain NAACP, to make sure that we are where you young people are on social media, trying to make sure that the messaging doesn't get lost. Also, hoping that we can influence younger people to understand what is currently happening. It will be very interesting to see how important NAACP is over, let's say, just the next 4 years of this administration. How will President Trump address NAACP and understand how pivotal we are to the very fabric of America, and that even when we're just witnessing right now, we are not going to allow you to erase Black history. We're not a Democratic Party. We're not a Republican Party. We are African Americans who are part of the
exactly.
fabric of the country who cannot be erased. I love this.
Ooh, like I'm saying, like you just Miss Prescott, you just took me to church. Like I felt like he was preaching just now. Like, but that's what people need to hear. They need to not only do they need to hear it, they need to grasp it. Like we can tell them all these things, but we need people to learn about their rights, which is why I'm so thankful that you came on my podcast today, because people need to understand what the NAACP is. People need to understand what their rights. I don't want to say, but even with the internet having every resource available, people still don't know stuff. And
Yeah. I mean, you're in Denver. We had a mayoral race where one of the candidates, I think just like, I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, she was running for Denver mayor. And when she was asked on a Black show, on the Brother Jeff show, what is NAACP stand for, she froze. She had no clue, no idea what it stood for and what it meant. So fast forward, I mean, we really have to keep calling people out on the carpet. We really have to hopefully inspire leaders who are not afraid, who understand more how important their voice is, and don't just succumb to the status quo, and not think that some of the things that are happening affect them. Everything that is happening right now affects everything that you do, from purchasing a bottle of water to buying eggs to getting gas. Your life is heavily affected by the current administration, and it can go a myriad of different ways. So we shall see. I want to be politically correct a little bit on your show. I don't want to go too far, because I do have some personal feelings about how, a lot of people in this election didn't take what's happening and coming down the pipeline seriously. They were questioning Kamala's blackness to Trump's not that bad. Nelly rapped about him in a rap song. I mean, so we really have to understand he's getting deep in the weeds on policy. And just because you're used to seeing him on a TV show, he was just on a TV show, but now he's making executive orders that are going to hit your bottom line and put you out of work. He's no longer just a TV character.
I think some people sprinkle this truth, Ms. Prescott. We know we need it.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people are acting like he's a Marvel movie president, and you part of the show. Forgetting you are the show.
Woo! I'm telling you, you are 100% right. That's all. I was going to give you the poetic snaps. You are 100% correct, but that's why people need to be educated on certain decisions that they make. I'm not calling out black men, but my black men, you guys know we love y'all. But why is there a fear of a woman being a president when black men sometimes allow women to run whole households?
Whole households.
Ooh, boom. I just
totally okay with that. Okay with us being the breadwinner, okay with us running the household, okay with us cooking the meal down to everything they eat, okay with us dressing them, but not okay for us to run the country. That part.
sorry, you guys. That had to be said. I had to break that truth down, because I just don't understand. Like, you guys as black mothers, work hard for you to get you guys through elementary school, high school, get y'all through college, and a black woman who was offering you guys some great things. Kamala had some great plans for black men. It is so disappointing that they thought whatever they thought of her, whether it's her blackness or whatever it is, that they thought that. That's all I'm gonna say. So that.
Right.
We got to do better as a people. We definitely have to do better as a people. But if you guys are just joining us, we have Ms. Prescott, who is the president of Rocky Mountain chapter of the NAACP. Guys, she has dropped some amazing gems so far. So please, please, please take something from this episode and please make a change. You guys know that's how we do here at Morning Mimosas. We are here to teach you guys something so effective change can take place. So I'm super duper grateful that we have Ms. Prescott on the show today. I'm going to ask her just like one more question. So when it comes to the NAACP, you guys specifically work for the advancement of colored people, as people know. But a lot of people are very confused on what colored people are. You think that colored people is just African American? So
No,
I want
colored
you to
people.
clarify
Well,
that.
and and it's more than just colored, because when you think of our founders, it's also cultural. I mean, we're talking about African American, we're talking about immigrants, we're talking about indigenous communities, the LGBTQIA community, women's right. There's women in NAACP, disabled veterans. We're talking about the rural. We're fighting now agriculture for our farmers, our Black farmers. So we're when you think of disproportionately impacted, and I don't want to say that, you know, there was a white male founder as part of the NAACP, but I think the core issue is civil rights, because when it came down to slavery, we have to think of who was doing the enslaving, and that was the white Caucasian male. And so when we're looking at protecting, and a lot of this definition goes essentially by what was defined as what made you a slave. One drop of Black blood made you Black, or one drop of this made you other. So it's not just to say it's only Black. I mean, we all come in different types of shades, but we're talking about disproportionately impacted cultural people. And now that stems into Jewish communities. It's not a race or creed. It's really, you know, oppressed communities.
Perfect. Perfect description. Now, Ms. Prescott, is there anything that you want to tell the people as like a last minute thought about the NAACP, or just about knowing your rights or anything of that sort?
Well, I mean, I want to say please join. That would be the first part, because we just experienced our Founders Day, February 12th, but a lot of people don't understand becoming a member. Your voice matters. It's only $30 to become a member as an adult. I think $10 to become a member as a youth. We sponsor youth membership, so it's not like you have to do anything. You renew annually. You're become a part of the NAACP family. It's important to know your rights. And now we have to go beyond just knowing our rights when it comes to police policy, law enforcement, but we have to also know our rights when it comes to immigration. One of the scariest issues that we're dealing with right now are we've had a lot of Africans from Nigeria, from the Haitian community that have been part of like Colorado for 20 to 30 years. The process was so designed to make sure if you're from Haiti, the darker you are, it seems like the harder it is to become American, get your certificate to, become a legal citizen. Whereas you think of Melania's the president's wife's parents outstayed a visa, she outstayed a visa, but yet they can become American citizens. So we have some people who have been in Denver and Aurora who've been giving to our community for 20, 30 years. And now, ICE is stopping by some one or two locations where you have a heavily populated workforce that's Haitian, and trying to send Haitians back, and they've been a part of our tax dollars of everything they benefit from for over 20 years. And it's simply because the process was against us. So it's knowing your rights as an immigrant. It's knowing your rights and what we can and cannot do for law enforcement. We have our youth summit coming, Bridging the Gap summit on March 15th, where we're working with Denver police, Aurora police, and trying them to see our youth as humans and not as others when it comes to the summer. I mean, we have gang violence prevention programs. So there's an NAACP for everyone. The biggest thing, and I'm trying to say, is it's not just civil rights. It is knowing your rights. And this March 13th, we will be at the Capitol lobbying, teaching people about lobbying, why legislation matters, why we need more Black lobbyists in Colorado, and not just in Colorado, but across the country. So these are some of the reasons why I want to encourage people to come. Monday, join me at Costco. We're doing a buy-in. We're showing them what our economic dollar means. Target wants to get rid of diversity, equity, inclusions. Other organizations want to get, we're going to show Target what we can do in Costco. Costco, they still recognize diversity, then that's where we're going to spend our dollars. So NAACP is more than just what we did in the past. It is what we're doing and more of what we're going to be doing in the future.
I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. We appreciate you for coming on Morning Mimosas this morning slash afternoon for those of you that are watching in the afternoon. Ms. Prescott, thank you so much for everything that you do for the NAACP. We will continue to follow and be a support to you guys as the years progress. Guys, this is Morning Mimosas. As you guys know, we value humanity, justice, healing, and education for the Black and minority communities. But I will note that we love all people. We will see you guys next Saturday. Until that time, see you later.
Take care. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, ma'am.